There are some people you meet on the road who stay in your memory forever, not because of what they say, not because of what they do, but because something about them feels wrong from the very first moment. A feeling you can't explain, a warning buried deep inside your instincts. The kind of feeling that tells you to keep driving, to lock your doors and never look back. Tonight, I want to tell you about one of Nevada's most unsettling roadside legends. A story passed between truck drivers, highway patrol officers, and lonely travelers crossing the vast deserts of the American West. A story about a hitchhiker who appears where no person should be. A hitchhiker whose eyes are said to be completely black, no white, no color, only darkness. This is the legend of Black-Eyed Hitchhiker of Nevada. And according to those who have been seeing him, picking him up may be the biggest mistake a traveler can make. And the story I'm about to tell begins in the autumn of 2015. A traveling salesman named Ryan Foster was driving across a remote stretch of Nevada Highway 50. The road is often called the loneliest road in America, and on that particular night, the nickname felt deserved. Miles of empty highways stretched into darkness. No towns, no traffic, no lights on the horizon, just desert and silence. Ryan had been driving for nearly 4 hours without seeing any vehicle. The radio signal faded in and out. The moon was hidden behind thick clouds. Everything outside his headlights seemed swallowed by darkness. Around midnight, he noticed a figure standing beside the road. At first, he thought it was a road sign. Then the figure moved. Ryan slowed down. A teenage boy stood on the shoulder, alone, miles from the nearest town. The boy wore a jacket, dark hoodie, and jeans. Nothing unusual about that. But something immediately felt wrong. The teenager wasn't waving for help, wasn't trying to get attention. He simply stood there, perfectly still. Watching the approaching vehicle, Ryan felt a knot from his stomach. No one should have been out there, not at that hour, not in the middle of nowhere. He almost kept driving, but the sight of a young person stranded in the desert made him hesitate. Finally, he pulled over. The boy slowly approached the passenger side window. His head remained lowered, his face hidden by the hood. Ryan cracked the window. "Are you okay?" he asked. The boy nodded. His voice was quiet, almost motionless. "I need a ride." Then he slowly raised his head, and for the first time, Ryan saw his eyes. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to drive away. The boy's eyes were completely black, not dark brown, not hidden by shadows, black from edge to edge, as though there were no pupils, no whites, nothing human in them at all. Ryan's heart began pounding. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The teenager stared through the window, expressionless, unblinking. Then he spoke again. "Please let me in." The words sounded polite, but there was something unnatural beneath them, something cold, something rehearsed. Ryan's hand tightened on the steering wheel. Every instinct told him to not to unlock the door. The boy took another step closer. His black eyes never left Ryan's face. "I need to go home." Ryan forced a nervous smile. "I'm sorry, kid. I can't help." For several seconds, the teenager remained perfectly still. Then his expression changed. Not anger, not sadness, disappointment, as though he had expected a different answer. The boy slowly stepped back from the vehicle. Ryan immediately pressed the accelerator. The car surged forward. Within moments, the figure disappeared into the darkness behind him. Ryan tried convincing himself that he had imagined the eyes. Maybe it was poor lighting, fatigue, a trick of the night. Then the radio suddenly filled with static. The temperature inside the vehicle dropped sharply, and when Ryan glanced into his rearview mirror, the boy was sitting in the back seat. Ryan nearly lost control of the car. The teenager sat silently behind him, still wearing the dark hoodie, still staring, still expressionless. Those black eyes locked onto him through the mirror, and somehow, the rear door had never opened. Ryan slammed on the brakes. The car skidded across the empty highway. His pulse thundered in his ears. When the vehicle stopped, he spun around. The back seat was empty, completely empty. No boy, no sound, nothing. For several moments, Ryan simply sat there trying to breathe. Then a voice whispered from directly behind him, "You should have let me in." Ryan turned again. The seat remained empty. The voice came once more, closer, angrier. "You should have let me in." The windows suddenly fogged from the inside. Despite the dry desert air, Ryan looked toward the passenger side glass. Words slowly appeared across the condensation. "Let me in." His hands shook violently. He started the engine and accelerated down the highway. The message remained visible for several seconds, then faded away. The rest of the journey passed without incident, but Ryan never forgot what happened. Years later, he still refused to drive Nevada's remote highways after dark, and he wasn't the only one. As I researched this legend, I found dozens of similar accounts, different witnesses, different years, the same description. A lone hitchhiker, a teenager, completely black eyes, always asking for permission to enter. Some stories claim the hitchhiker appears before accidents. Others say those who allow him into their vehicles suffer terrible misfortune afterward. No one knows where the legend began. No one knows who or what the hitchhiker truly is, but one detail appears in nearly every version. He never forces his way inside. He always asks, as though permission matters. Even today, travelers crossing Nevada's lonely highways occasionally report seeing a solitary figure standing beside the road after midnight, waiting, watching, patiently hoping someone will stop. And if you ever find yourself alone on a desert highway and a young hitchhiker asks for a ride, pay close attention to his eyes, because if they're completely black, you may already be too close. Subscribe if you're still here for more stories.